Hello, hello. Welcome to my Facebook Live. Just checking to make sure that I've gone live on Facebook. I'm not seeing any comments yet, so I'm going to give it a second or two so I can make sure I'm live first of all, and so that you guys can join me. So we'll see here just a second. Waiting for others to join. Happy Thanksgiving. Tonight is Thanksgiving, or today is Thanksgiving. I hope you all have happy full tummies for Thanksgiving. We're actually having a big dinner on Saturday when the kids come. So we'll have both our son and our daughter and their spouses and the grandkids. So excited about that. Still waiting to see if I've gone live yet. It says I'm live. It says I'm recording. I'm not seeing it on Facebook yet. I want to go with it, but usually I get some sort of a clue that you guys are there, and I don't have any clue that you're there. Although, like I said, in the studio, it says that it's live and it's recording, so I'm just not sure where we're at. And I want to make sure that you guys are able to see. I'm going to see if I can send a text to somebody that potentially would be, hold on a second, hold on. Still checking. I'm not seeing myself on Facebook, so that's concerning to me. Let me just double check to see if there's anyone that can receive my text. Obviously, my phone is occupied, so I can't really use it to send a text. Let me see if I can do this, because I want to go ahead and get started. And I don't want to assume that you guys can see me if you can't see me. Oh, there's my mom. Okay, Mom. That makes me feel better. I wasn't seeing it on my Facebook, and so I was concerned. Yay, thank you. I just needed somebody to say, hey, you're there. So that's good. So we're good on Facebook now. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So again, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys all had a really nice Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining me tonight, because I know it is a holiday and I know you're spending time with friends and family, but maybe that activity has wrapped up and you're just settling down and relaxing now. And so I'm so thrilled that you guys decided to join me. I've got some fun cards to share with you tonight. We're moving on from the polar bear, so we're moving into the Merriest Trees. I do want to talk about the fact, though, that this is a to-go class, and what that means is that if you like this class, you can actually get this class to go for free. And so let me just spend a little bit of time sharing with you where you can find this information. If you go to my website, and my website is at aprildaviscreations.com. When you go to my website, if you go to classes and to-go classes, you will, and scroll down, you will see the information on this week's to-go class. It's the Merriest Tree Bundles. Here's your host code that you'll use. The class runs through the 27th as far as the ordering period, so you want to be sure to place your orders by the 27th of the month. And hold on just a second, guys. I'm working on something for you. Okay, because I wanted to be here with you so you could see me. The orders are due by the 27th of the month. If you place a $40 order, you get the kit for free. You get 3 cards, 2 of each card, everything you're going to see tonight. The only thing that I don't do is stamping for you. If you place a $50 order or more, you will receive a set of embellishments. Let me see if I can get this in the window. You'll either receive the iridescent rhinestones, or you will receive the rhinestone basic jewels. Let me see if I can get them there. Both are being used tonight. So you will receive either one of those when you place your order. Otherwise, I don't include any gems. I don't typically include any ribbon, but anything that's used outside of the bundle, I do include. I will start cutting the kits on as soon as the 27th occurs, and hopefully I can have the kits in the mail to you on or around the 29th of the month. So let me get back to seeing you. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the host code up again just so that you guys can see that. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to switch over and I'm going to show you in the catalog where this particular bundle is. So let me do some more switching around. I'm going to take the host code down, and we are still working out of the mini catalog. The mini catalog is good September through December of 2023. So we have one more month of this catalog, and the cards that I'm going to show you tonight and next week are from the catalog, and then I actually have another bundle from this catalog. There's so many fun stamps, some fun bundles in this catalog, and so I'm really focused on all of them. Tonight we're focused on the Merriest Trees. And you can see the Merriest Trees is basically trees and how you're going to decorate your trees. Most of the decorations are going to come from the dies. It's really important for you to have the dies if you can, because it just adds to your stamp set. So you've got the Merriest Trees, and then within the Merriest Trees, and I keep my dies inside as well, you've got all these various dies that you can use. And we're going to be using pretty much all of them throughout the next couple of weeks. Okay, so the other thing that I want to mention about the bundle is that I know I've shared before, but you can buy the stamps by themselves, you can buy the dies by themselves, or you can buy them together as a bundle. And when you buy them together as a bundle, you save 10%. So let's get into the cards that we're making tonight. We've got 3 different cards. They're very simple, but they're very elegant. And so we're going to start with card number 1, move into a tree, and then we've got another card that we're going to make that I've got a fun little technique. So it's kind of fun. I made these cards up several weeks ago. I sit and I look at the cards and I think about them, and I'm going to switch them up just a little bit tonight. Not a ton, but a little bit tonight, just because I think, oh, if I did this, that would be so cool. So we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to start with this card first. And in the kit for this card, you're going to have your basic red or your real red cardstock. This is going to be our base. We've got a basic white piece. We've got 3 different pieces that come from, and I'm going to pull this set out just so that you can see. I used them from the Joy of Christmas Designer Series paper. So a number of the cards that we're going to be looking at tonight are going to come from the Joy of Christmas Designer Series paper. And then we've got 2 circles, one that's cut from our Stylish Shapes dies, the circle dies, and then the other one is cut from our deckled circle dies. So I've got a number of those. The deckled circle kind of gives you a little bit of a look like a wreath a little bit. So anyway, we're going to be working with both of those dies. And then the other thing that I did, and I went ahead and did it ahead of time just so we have time to get everything in, is I'm using the Basics 3D die, and the Basics 3D die then has put the embossing on this piece of real red cardstock. So let's start with our stamping, and I'm going to pull out the white piece. And in the Merriest Trees set, you have 1 tree, but you have a number of dies to make this tree whatever size you're going to make. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going to ink up parts of this tree so that I can go ahead and I can stamp my circle. And then I'm also utilizing the Brightest Glow set as for the 'Tis the Season sentiment. So I'm incorporating a number of different stamp sets as well. So let's go ahead and start with our Mossy Meadow ink. And we're going to stamp our tree. So let me go ahead, and I'm not doing the whole thing. I just want to get a good coating on enough of it because I'm going to be stamping off anyway. but I want to get a good coating, and then I'm going to line my tree up basically where I want it, off to the side, and we'll go ahead and stamp down. There we've got the tree. And then I'm going to clean this off real quick. And you can see the tree has, it's got different dividers. You're going to see another tree that I'm going to stamp with this as well. And so you'll be able to see it more. But when I do it on the circle, it kind of breaks up just a little bit on the circle, but that's fine. It still is a tree for sure. And then I'm going to close this up. Whoops, knocked my stamps over. Close this up, and I'm going to bring out the real red. And we're going to stamp our sentiment. So here's our real red. Whoops. Do I already have ink on it? Good grief. I didn't even think I put it in yet. I'm trying to... Red and I... Oh, look. There's red on the edge. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. I got to get it in the window. There's red on the edge. What's up with that? I don't know. I mean, I barely have it open, and I'm already getting it all over. All right, let me do this, and then we'll get things cleaned up before I move on. So now I'm going to pull the season over. I probably should have pulled my tree over just a tad, but I think I can make this work. So I'm going to pull my 'Tis the Season, and I'm going to place it right here. Yep. Yay, it fits. Good deal. All right, let's clean this up. My goodness, I've got ink everywhere. How does that happen? Didn't happen to you guys, does it? I don't know what it is about red especially. Red just likes to make its presence known. All right, so now we've got that done. Let's go ahead and we're going to glue it onto our Mossy Meadow circle base. Let me grab my glue. And I'm just going to give it a quick, not a lot, just enough to cover everything. And then I can go ahead and get it centered in on my base. All right, so now we've got this. It's all good. I'm gonna set this off to the side, and I'm gonna pull out, making sure I'm sorry guys, I'm reaching. I've got some baby wipes here, just for the very reason that if I get messy, I can clean myself up, and I feel like I've still got red on my fingers, so I don't want to get it on the rest of my cards. So let me put this off to the side, and then I can bring in this white piece of cardstock, and what we're going to do with it is we're just going to layer. Now, I've got two pieces that are the same size, and they're going to fit up in the corners. I'm going to turn this around. Let me see. I don't know which side's way that goes. I guess it doesn't matter. And then this particular piece, the way that it's cut, it's going to go at the bottom. Now you can see that on this particular card, I've got it switched up a little bit. But what happens is as you start cutting your paper, you have different pieces left. And you know, sometimes things don't cut the same way, but you don't want to waste your paper. So what I did is I'm creating the exact same card. The paper's just arranged differently, but this way I'm making the most of all my paper and I don't have any waste. So let's go ahead and get the plaid laid down first. And I'm going to make sure I've got edges on each side. And then I'm going to go ahead and do my berries, my holly berries. Today was a quiet day for me. I did a lot of crafting. We're having family for Thanksgiving on Saturday, so I wanted to prep ahead of time so I was ready for you guys, not only for tonight, but also for next week. Next week, I'm actually going out of town with my girlfriend to I forget what it's called, Clover something ranch. And it's in western Kansas, not too far, just on the other side of Emporia. But anyway, we're doing that to celebrate our birthdays. and she's got a December birthday. I have a December birthday, and so we're doing that, and that means that I'm leaving Thursday night. Because I'm leaving Thursday night, and I want to be here for your Facebook Live, I'm going to be here, but again, it's going to be recorded. Okay, so what I decided to do, or I'm thinking about it, if you will, is you can see that I used a red ribbon on this one. Well, I'm not sure that I really want to put a red ribbon on this one just because it's red. So we have this sheer ribbon, the silver and white sheer ribbon, and I just think it's so pretty. I think it's going to be beautiful for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut enough of this ribbon. You could wrap it all the way around. You've seen me do this before. You could wrap it all the way around, but I like to spare my ribbon, if you will, and wrap it around the back of a card that I'm not going to be able to see. Just doesn't work with me all the time. I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it, but it doesn't work with me all the time. So if I can split it in half, and then I'm just going to take some regular tape, and I'm going to tape the back of it down. I do this a lot. Lately, I've been showing you how to use like glue dots and things like that. But in all honesty, just Scotch tape is so much easier. So I went ahead and remembered to bring it over tonight so that I could just use it. So I'm going ahead and I'm adhering that down, and then I'll get my bow adhered in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and take my card base, and I can move this out of the way actually. Go ahead and take my card base and fold it in half and burnish it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my card layer now, and I'm going to put glue on it and get it adhered to the card base. So we'll go ahead and get that done. Okay, and we'll get this centered. I like the narrow edges, and so basically there's like 1/8 of an inch separating one edge from the other edge. Let's see if I can get this to slide just a little bit. Okay, we've got that. Then I'm going to take my 'Tis the Season, and I'm going to put dimensionals on it. I haven't forgotten about the bow. We're coming back to it in just a second, but let's get these put together. So I'm going to go ahead and put my dimensionals on the back of my sentiment label. Put one in the middle. We'll go ahead and take the back off. The back of the dimensionals, that is. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to center this in my card. Like so. And then I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow. So let me cut off, about that much, I think. And I'm going to go ahead and string it through. Sometimes I like to just create, sorry guys. Sometimes I like to just create the bow and make it like a faux bow. But we'll go ahead and we'll tie this one on. It's going to be a little sideways, so to speak, kind of going along the lines of the way the circle runs. Let me get this tucked in, get my bow in here, shrink it down a little bit. I've got more edge on one edge than I do on another, and so I didn't leave myself a lot of room. But it's good, we'll fix it. Okay, we've got the bow. Let me cut off the ends of it. Try to get this straight. There we go. Maybe a little straighter. There we go. Okay, we've got that. And then I'm going to bring out the iridescent rhinestones and do some bling on it. And I think we'll do it pretty much the way that I did the previous one, where I'm going to put some bling here, a middle-sized one, maybe right here. And then I'm going to take a smaller one and I'm going to put it right here. And here you have this card. It's similar to this card, but it turned out so pretty, and I'm glad I changed the ribbon. So that's card number 1. See how easy and fast that was? All right, let's move on to card number 2. This is card number 2. Let me clean up my mess just a little bit so I'm not getting in my way. We're going to be stamping with this one. And before we get to that, I wanted to share with you, we're going to use cherry cobbler for this one. And I don't know if I've ever shared with you guys before or not, but a lot of times when I am cutting my card stock for my cards, I'm actually cutting and scoring at this, not at the same time, but in the same activity. So these particular cards, the next 2 cards open from the top. So that means that the card is 11 by 4 1/4. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do my scoring first. And because it's at 11, I'm going to score at 5 1/2, because 5 1/2, of course, is half of 11. So I'm going to go ahead and do my scoring. And then I'm going to turn my card stock and I'm going to take it to 4 1/4. 4 1/4 is half of 8 1/2. So now I can go ahead and cut this. And now I have my card base already scored. And I just go ahead, if I know I'm making a number of cards, I go ahead and I just score and cut at the same time. So now I've got my card base, my cherry cobbler card base. Additionally, in the kit, see if I get everything out, I have a piece of basic white. That's my tree's going to be on that. I have a piece of granny apple green that's going to be a base. And I have some of the plaid cardstock. The last card I used red card plaid. This time I'm going to use the green plaid. And then I have a piece of scrap that we're going to create or die cut the decorations for the tree. And then I've already cut the stars and I've cut the base of the tree out of one of my favorite specialty papers, and that's the Distressed Gold specialty paper. I use this all the time, and I think you're going to see it a lot in these next few cards this week and next week, because it's a beautiful antiqued type of gold. So I've gone ahead and cut the base of the tree and the stars out of the antique gold. I'm going to move them out of the way. I'm not going to work with them yet. And then I've got a little piece of granny apple green and a little piece of basic white, and this is going to house our sentiment. So we'll get to that in just a second. Let me move the rest of this stuff out of the way. Got my little bow too, although I might change up that bow. I haven't decided. But we're going to stamp. And the first thing we need to stamp is our tree. So let me pull this out again. And I'm going to get my stamp out. And our tree is actually going to be stamped in granny apple green. And then we're going to put the detail into the tree with mossy meadow. So let me bring those over. And the one thing that I did not do is, we're good. But basically what I'll do is I'll clean this up and then I'll pull the detail tree out and we'll work with that. So let me get ready for that. So let's go ahead and stamp in granny apple green first. And I'm just going to turn this over since it's a bigger tree and I'm stamping the entire tree. I'm making sure that I get everything covered. Now what I want to show you with this, I don't know if you can see it well enough or not, but can you see some lines in here? That's what happens when you're using your ink pad and you've got a big stamp. So you really have to work it so that you can work those lines out. I think for the most part, I've got the lines out. So now I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to die cut this tree. So I'm not worried too terribly about whether or not I get it centered or not. But I'm going to go ahead and get that pressed down. Looks like I have something little there. I don't know if it was on the stamp or on the in the ink, but I've got like a little blemish there. Not a big deal. I mean, nobody else would notice it, I'm sure. Plus, I'm going to be adding some detail to it. So let me go ahead and clean off this stamp with my Simply Chamois. And one of the things that I really like about my Simply Chamois is that I can actually pick it up and it can help me get into those little nooks and crannies of the stamp so that I get it nice and clean. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pull that stamp off, put it back on in its place in the stamp set. So we'll just set that in here because I'm done with this tree. So we'll put this in here, and then I'm going to pull out the detailed tree, and I'm going to use this stamp block again. Normally I would have had a second stamp block here, but I had forgotten, and so we'll just make use of the same one. So it doesn't have to be really straight. I'm just straightening it up. And then I'm going to pull out my old olive so I can get my detail. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now, the good part about this is that because it's really just detail, and you can see, got it on the edges, but it's just detail, and so it's not going to cause a problem with the lines that you had seen before. So let me go ahead and get this lined up, and I will press this down. There we go, we've got our detail, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this stamp cleaned off, just so that I don't have a lot of ink everywhere. And then we'll get this set up to die cut. So we've got that. I'm gonna put this up to the side. I'm gonna bring out my little baby wipe to make sure that my hands are clean. I think it's because I'm using a bigger stamp as well. So we've got that. Let's move this off to the side. I'm gonna bring in my little mini cut and emboss. This is the Boho Blue Cut and Emboss. And I've already got my die out, so I'm gonna make sure I get my die lined up. And I've got a little bit of low tack tape that I use. Again, you can use a sticky note if you want to use a sticky note. I just like to be able to line the die up and then not worry about it moving. So we're almost there. Rotate a little bit here and there to get there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tack it down. Bring in my cutting plates. I'm going to take a little bit off the edge of my paper. My die's going to fit just fine, but my paper's a little long or a little wide for my cutting machine, so I'm just going to take off a little edge of that, which then will allow it to fit. All right, so now that we've got all of that, make sure that I'm still aligned. Looks like I might have moved just a tad. I think we've got it now. Let's go ahead and crank this through. Oh, all right. Any cracking you hear is normal. It's just everything's being cut. So we'll move this off to the side now and pop out our tree. So now we have our tree, and we can actually start decorating our tree. Oh, actually, I'm not done with the dies. So the other thing that I have to cut with the die is the the garland. And remember that little piece of scrap cranberry that I had? I called it cranberry. It's cherry cobbler. I don't know why I was calling it cranberry. Probably because it's Thanksgiving. I don't know. Did you guys have cranberries for Thanksgiving? I don't know if it's on my menu or not. I don't think I had added it, but the kids aren't that big in cranberries. My brothers like cranberries. All right, Merriest Trees. Let's go ahead and pull that die out. And the cranberry die believe it or not, the cranberry die. Gosh, now I'm stuck on cranberries. The garland die looks like this. Excuse me. And you're going to get all the garland you need to decorate your tree. So let's go ahead and put this in. Crank it through. Pull it out. Off to the side. Move this out of the way. Get my die out of the way. Clean up my place a little bit. And the garland now, all I have to do is take your pick and pop it out, and it will pop out just fine. So I've got all my garland popped out. Put my die off to the side. I can put that away later. And now what I want to do is I just want to start putting together my garland. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use my tweezers. And basically what you want to do, at least for me, is I take my tweezers and I just put a little teeny tiny dot of ink or of glue right in the middle of those little circles. Okay, and then I'm going to take my tweezers to help me lay down where I want this garland to go. So we're going to put the first string of garland here. And then I'm going to go to the next string, the next size. Same thing, little dots, teeny tiny dots. You don't want a lot. It doesn't take much. So little dots of glue. Turn it around again. This time I'm going to have my garland go this way. There's like a little slight curve to your garland, so that's why I turn this around, because I kind of want the curve to go in the direction of, as the garland is coming down. So here's my next one. Is that the front? Yep, that's the front. Gonna go ahead and again do my little dots. This doesn't take any time at all. It's kind of fun. And then I'm going to, where's my curve? Okay, my curve is here. So now I'm gonna take this garland and I'm gonna go this way. Hold it down for just a second. That's all you need to do. And then the next one, and they're sized, so you just keep increasing in size as you are laying your garland down. So we'll do it again. Dot, 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 dot. And this piece will go this way. Lay it down. And I have one last piece of garland to lay down. All right. And the curve goes this way, so I'm going to turn it this way. And there we go. How fun. I just decorated this tree with garland. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the base on. And the base is out of my, what do I call that? The distressed gold. You'd think I wouldn't forget. But it's out of my distressed gold. So I'm just going to put a little bit on the base here, or at the top of it, so that I can put the base of the tree on top of that. We'll go ahead and get that even centered. And now what I can do is I'm going to pull back in my stars. And with this, I'm going to bring this paper out just maybe so you can see a little bit better. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this star behind this star. And then I'll have a little bit of dimension to the star. So what I have to do is take my glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the center and on the, I don't want to say the very tip, but close to the inside tip of the star. So there's just a little bit of glue. You don't need much more than that. I'm going to use my tweezers just to help me get this lined up appropriately, but I'm going to lay my star, the littler star, on the inside because there is a little bit of space around the edges. But now I have that. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. If I get it tilted right. But you can see a little bit of dimension to it. So then what I'll do is I will take my glue and I'm just going to put it at the very tip of my tree. And I'm going to place my star on my tree. Okay. Pick that up. Make sure I got it straight. I want a straight star. Off to the side maybe a little bit. Okay, we're going to let that dry. While we're doing that, I'm going to come back over and we're going to do a little bit more stamping. So let me bring my Stampin' pad back in because these stamps are photopolymer that I'm stamping with. And I'm going to stamp Love and Joy. It's just a little small sentiment, but I'm going to stamp it because this is Granny Apple Green. I'm going to stamp it in Old Olive. Remember, the Old Olive is basically what I used to do the detail in the tree. So I want that little bit of darkness so that it'll stand out. So let me just test that. Looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get, I'm going to turn that over. I accidentally dropped it. Okay, 2 sides to every piece. And I'm going to pull this a little bit closer. I'm sorry, it's a little piece and I know I got my head in the picture, but I want to get this lined up correctly. All right, there we go. Yay. Good, good, good. Oh, that's not my, I was almost started to use my stamp set instead of my Simply Chamois. They both have the same covers, the cases, and sometimes I get them mixed up. Okay, so this is cleaned off. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to take a little bit of glue and I'm going to put it on the back. And then I'm going to center it in my white so that my sentiment stands out. So we've got that. I'm going to put that off to the side and I'm going to start working on building the rest of the card. So we're going to bring back the cherry cobbler, fold that in half. I'm going to take my bone folder and burnish the edges of it, or the top of it, just to make it sure it lays flat. It looks like it's a little off. So I'm going to try to straighten this up a little bit, going that way. All right, very good. And then we're going to take the green plaid and we're going to center it on the Granny Apple Green. Okay. So let me go ahead and get that centered. Again, it's just 1/8 of an inch difference. So I'm going to make sure I get even around the edges. Excuse me. Still playing with that cold just a little bit. Way, way, way better than I was. But I'm still playing with that just a little bit. So let's go ahead and get this centered now on our card base. Our cherry cobbler card base. And I want to make sure that I have it even on both sides and top and bottom. So there's more room on the top and, or excuse me, on the sides than there is on the top and bottom. But as long as it's centered, we're good. Okay, so we've got that. Now we're going to bring our tree back in. And with our tree, we're actually going to put it down with dimensionals. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my dimensionals. And I will admit, I am heavy-handed when it comes to dimensionals. I just like stability. You don't have to use as many dimensionals as I use. You certainly don't. You can get by with just using a few. My thing is I just want to make sure that, especially since I mail out a lot of these cards, I just want to make sure that they're stable. And I'm going to pull actually out the little mini dimensionals because I want one here on the tree where the star is. And I don't know, the space right here is bugging me, so we're just gonna go for it. It's Thanksgiving. I think we need more dimensionals on our tree. So anyway, let me pull these dimensionals off. I did get a little crazy, but I want my tree to have some stability. So let me go ahead and get these pulled off real quick, and then we'll get the tree centered on the Plaid Designer Series paper, and then we'll start to work on the sentiment, how we want the sentiment to go. I'm still toying with whether I want to use that bow that I made or if I want to go with a different bow. I'm kind of feeling a different bow, but I'm not quite sure which one. I have another gold designer series paper. I have another gold ribbon that we can use. It's bigger though, and so I'm not quite sure if it's going to work for us. So let's get this lined up, center it from top to bottom. My little star wants to adhere right now, but center it from top to bottom, from side to side. And I think this is a good place for it to go down. Yep, there we go. Yay, 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 yay. And I don't know if you noticed, well, you'll see, but I made my sentiment smaller too because I just looked at that one. I'm like, that, I like it, but it's too big for me. So sometimes I tweak things after the fact, as you are seeing tonight. So I'm going to put a dimensional on one side just because the tree is popped up. I don't need a dimensional on the other side, so I'm just going to use a little bit of glue. It doesn't have to be a ton of glue. I just want to make sure that I've got some to put down on the tree to hold it in place, and then it is also popped up with a dimensional on the other side. So let's go ahead and get this lined up the way that I want it. There we go. And now we're almost done. Almost done. Let me think about this bow. I've got this ribbon that I thought maybe I would pull out and tie a bow and see if maybe it might be too big. My sentiment is pretty small, so I'm just not sure if using a bigger bow is going to work, but I decided I was going to give it a shot anyway. All you got to do is play around, see if when you're playing around, if you come up with something that happens to work for you. So let me go ahead and trim this off on this end, and I'll trim this off on this end. And now I have this bow, and maybe instead of putting it off to the side like this one, I put it underneath the sentiment. Or maybe I put it off to the side. It just covers up so much of my tree. So I don't know, it might be too big. What do you think, Mom? Big bow or little bow? I think the big bow's too big. If I try to put it someplace else, like underneath, it could work. It could work. I kind of like it under there. What do you think, Mom? Big bow or little bow? I think I'm gonna do the big bow since I'm not getting a response from my mom just yet. And I think part of it's the delay in the Facebook Live. But I think I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna put it right underneath the sentiment like that. Oh, you like the smaller bow. All right, well, let me see this. What if I put the smaller bow under the sentiment, or maybe, I don't know, I kind of don't like it there. But maybe I could put it underneath, or maybe not on top of the sentiment, under the sentiment. Let me see if I can make it a little bit smaller. Put it right there, maybe. You know what? We'll go with the smaller bow, but I am going to put it underneath the sentiment just for something different. So that I'm doing things a little bit differently tonight. So I'm going to put just a little bitty glue dot. I'm going to kind of roll it up into a ball since my bow is so small. And I'm going to put it right on the back of my bow, like so. Nice and sticky. And then I'm going to kind of center it probably about right there. So now I have a bow here. The other bow was on top of the tree. This bow is underneath the Love and Joy. The Love and Joy is smaller. And I will use this bow for another day. All right, thank you. This is card number 2, down. Okay, let's have some fun with this third card. I was looking at it today, and so I came up with this idea just today. Thanks, Mom. I thought it looked good too. Okay, so this particular card we're going to make with tags, much like the card that we did last week when we were using the Berry Christmas. We're going to use the tags again. I love using tags, but I wanted to make a few changes. So I've got my stars again. I've got my cherry cobbler card base. I have a piece of basic white, and this basic white was embossed with the Twisted Rope 3D embossing folder. So I went ahead and got the embossing done ahead of time. And then the tags are the tailor-made tags, and I used the 2 largest tags to make the tags. So the tags are already made. I've got those ready to go, but we're going to do something a little bit different with this set. The reason I say that is as I was looking at it earlier, I'm like, I just want to do something more to this rope, this embossed layer. So we're going to do some stamping, and then we're going to do some heat embossing. But let's go ahead and get our stamping done ahead of time, just so that I've got this out of the way. So we're going to take the We Wish You a Merry Christmas. We're going to do it in cherry cobbler. I'm going to stamp it here. And then because it's shaped like a tree, I'm going to put the tree star right over the top of it. So let me find my cherry cobbler ink. I know it's here. It's over here. Yes. Okay, so here's my cherry cobbler ink. Let's go ahead and get started with that. Get my stamp coated. Looks good. I'm going to work on that S. Make sure I get plenty enough on that S. And then I'm going to go ahead and get it stamped at the bottom of my tag. It's just so fun to use tags, but I am changing up a couple things. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll set that off to the side for a second. I'm going to go ahead and clean this stamp so I don't get any more red all over me. Put it off to the side. That might be left over from before. It's not coming off on my baby wipe. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ink up the embossed, the what did I call it? It was called the, where did I put it? It's a rope. The rope embossed. I don't even know where it went. Wow, okay. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and ink this up. And what we're going to do is we're going to ink it up in Versamark. We are going to have some fun. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Versamark and I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to start tapping it towards, so that the ink is kind of coming to the front of the cardstock. It's not just the edge, it's coming to the front of the cardstock. And I'm going to start inking this up. I'm going to put it down just because I have a little bit better control. And I'm going to ink the edges of this cardstock. What am I doing? Oh my goodness. I'm inking the edges of the cardstock. Okay. So I think I've got all my edges inked, pretty much, I'm hoping. And then I'm going to set this off to the side and I'm going to bring out my gold embossing powder. And I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm going to start dipping it in the embossing powder. And I'm going to dip this one in, and I'm going to dip this one in. I probably could have gotten a little heavier on the embossing powder, or excuse me, the ink, but we're going to go with it. Get off the ink. I was only planning on getting the edges, so I wasn't really planning on embossing powder being other places. But now what I've done is I've inked the edges of my embossing, or my cardstock. Now that I've done that, I'm just trying to make sure I get a good coating. What we're going to do, I'm going to set this off to the side. I'm going to reach away over here, and I'm going to grab my embossing gun. I'm going to heat it up. Sorry for how loud it is. And I'm going to heat emboss the edges of my card. I can already tell that I needed to get more Versamark on this. It's doing what I wanted it to do, but I really want it to have a border of gold emboss. So I want it to be a little bit thicker. Let me see if I do it this way. Maybe if I wipe it this way instead of just try to dip. I really want a nice embossed edge of gold on my cardstock. So I've done it again. Hopefully we've got a little bit more this time. I'm going to bring the gold back in and see if I'm getting a little bit better of a layer. And I am a little bit. You can see it a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better. The one thing that I need to work on is getting all of the embossing powder off of the rest of it. I'm gonna have my tags over it, so I'm not really too worried about it, but I really just wanted more of a layer of that gold. So I'm gonna move that off to the side again. Come back in and reheat. Oh, this is doing what I want it to do. I didn't want a ton, but I definitely wanted some just to give it that little edge of gold. And I probably could have gone thicker, but it's not necessary. I just didn't like the white all by itself. And I'm gonna double check, make sure I got everything heated. Off to the side. Very subtle, but enough that it's going to make a big difference. Even if I just bring this one up, can you see the difference? Maybe with the gold edge versus just a plain white edge. So let me move this stuff out of the way. I don't want to spill my embossing powder. I'm going to go ahead and take my cherry cobbler cardstock and fold it in half. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my embossed rope folder, or piece of cardstock I should say, and I'm going to go ahead and put plenty enough glue down. It's an embossed piece, and so because it's got, you know, ridges and dips and everything, I want to make sure that I've got plenty enough glue on it so that it will adhere appropriately. So let's go ahead and get that adhered. sure I've got it centered all the way around. Oh, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but boy, I really like that. And this was just like an idea that I came up with today because I just did not want that plain white. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and lay down our tags, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. Surprise, surprise. This whole card is different, sort of. I'm going to go ahead and lay this tag down first. And I'm going to turn it this way, maybe just a little bit. Get it laid down. Make sure it's adhered. Then I'm going to take my other tag. I'm going to lay it over the top. I'm going to do like I did before to give it a little bit of dimension. I'm going to add, I want my mini dimensionals. Let me see, here we go. I guess I don't need mini dimensionals. I don't know why. I thought that I would use those. But basically what I want to do is I want to just put dimensionals on this side of the tag. And then the other side of the tag will actually have glue on it. And then I'm going to go ahead and maybe space it out a little bit like this and put it down. So let's go ahead and put glue on this side. I'm going to pull the dimensional backs off, move them out of the way. We'll get this tag laid down about right here. I still need to put together my star, and I'm going to do it the same way that I did the last time. I'm just going to put a little glue in the middle and then little bits at the tip tops of this piece so that I can take this star and put it down. So get that down there, and then I can just line it up with my own hands. We'll get that, and then I am going to take a little mini dimensional, and I'm going to put it right on the back of this little star, and put the star right above the "we," because that's the top of the tree. So we've got that. Okay, the last thing we have to do is we have to place our bow. Now the last time I actually threaded it through the ribbon or through the tags, and it just was kind of bulky. So I made another bow that I'm actually going to put in the same place. I'm just going to use a little bit, I could use a glue dot, but because it's a little bit bigger than a glue dot, I'm going to go ahead and use my tear and tape instead. So I'm going to grab a piece of tear and tape. Give me just a second to get this. I think I got the right edge. Oh, it's a new roll. So let me get that in the trash bin. It's stuck to my finger. And now I can go ahead and I'm just going to tear off a little piece. And I'm going to put it along the back of my bow right here. And then I can peel this off, leaving the tape on the bow. Get a hold of it. There we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. Okay, tape is on the back of the bow. Now I'm going to take the knot of the bow and I'm going to center it in the center of the tag hole. And this card is done. I hope you guys can see the gold on the edges. It just, I don't know, I really like it a lot. I mean, if I bring this one back up, just so that you can kind of compare, it's not in your face by any means, but it's just enough to give a little bit of a border on the edges of the cardstock to make it stand out a little bit more, especially since there's so much gold in the bow and in the star and everything. So let me bring the 3 cards back in. Those are our 3 cards. And we've got this one that we did. We moved our bow. Sorry, I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way. It's creeping up on me. And then we had this one that we changed up and we did the silver bow on it. So 3 very simple but elegant cards. So fun. And we're gonna actually carry on next week with this bundle as well. And I'm going to explore some different colors as well. You know how I have fun with the various colors. So let me come back and chat with you. Hello, good to see you. Thank you for joining me tonight. I know it's Thanksgiving and I know you're with friends and family, but I didn't want to miss tonight. And so if you were able to join me tonight, I really, really appreciate it. If you weren't able to join me tonight, it will be posted to Facebook so you can watch it on Facebook so you won't miss it. Remember, this is a to-go class. The orders for the to-go class need to be placed by the 27th of the month utilizing this hostess code. Be sure to use that hostess code. And then once the 27th has come and gone, I will get to work on cutting the kits and I'll get those in the mail to you hopefully on the 29th. So again, thank you. I really want to grow this channel. So if you liked what you saw, please like and share so that others can see this video as well. And I would say I will see you next Thursday. I will see you next Thursday, but it's going to be a recorded version as well. So I'll catch you guys next Thursday recorded, and then I'll be back the following week. So thank you again, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everyone.